Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside Monster Jam, the official Monster Jam podcast. I'm Scott Jordan, and today I am excited to talk about 20 years of maximum destruction. Joining me from Paxton, Illinois, is the 14-time World Finals champion and the professor of Monster Jam University, Tom Meents. Tom, welcome to Inside Monster Jam, and thanks for hanging out with me today.
Great to be here, man. Super excited about the year we've had, and more importantly, looking forward to next year.
Well, we will get to the 20-year celebration of Max D, but first I want to go back to the beginning where you start as a mud racer and you meet Paul Schaefer and develop a relationship which ultimately leads you into Monster Patrol, which, you know, sort of paves the way for your career. So what do you remember about your relationship in the beginning with Paul Schaefer?
You know, both of us were mud racers. You know, we cut our teeth in this business in mud racing, getting to, run mud events with him. And then once he got a monster truck, he bought the World Championship Taurus truck, that used to run with Monster Jam. Once he got a truck, anything I could do to be around a Monster Jam truck or work on it or have anything to do with it, that was exciting for me. It was neat to be a part of it, and me being a mechanic, knew a lot of inner workings of mechanical things and would do anything to be around it and help him. That helped develop our relationship. That helped develop our friendship. And ultimately, it got me a job driving Monster Patrol, I helped him build a second truck so he could perform in that. And then be able to take that first truck on the road myself and start to perform in it. I owe a lot to that man. He's been super good to me for so many years.
At what point did you decide you wanted to buy your own truck and really kind of cement yourself in this career as a monster truck driver?
Fortunately, with Monster Jam, they had the idea, hey, we want to do more. We want to do more with you. We want to do more with trucks, We have a great deal that's coming into fruition. That was with WCW, and I decided to go on my own and no longer do the Monster Patrol thing, with an opportunity with them to bring out the Goldberg truck. That was an exciting time for us. It was an exciting time for so many of our fans and WCW fans as well.
Well, I do want to get to Goldberg here because I was a huge WCW fan. But first, I want to talk about Bulldozer. Your first national television event, you beat Dennis Anderson. So you literally start that rivalry with him by beating him on national television. Did you know at that point that was going to really kind of be the biggest rivalry of your career?
I didn't know that, I knew who he was. I saw how popular he was. He drove monster trucks at some of the, mud events I went to as well back then. And I knew I was going to have that opportunity. I had to wait my chance. We got the deal with the Bulldozer and we started to go forward, and I was thinking, there was an intimate date, and we are going to get to go to our first TV show driving monster trucks. That was super exciting. My father and I, we put a lot of extra work into that upcoming week. We really did everything we could to make sure that truck was perfect and fast and ready. And we knew that was a big opportunity for us, to showcase our abilities. We had raced some of these drivers and trucks at other events outside of the TV series, and we knew that was a big moment, and when that time came, that was super exciting, and it couldn't have worked out better. We got that opportunity to showcase our skills, showcase our mechanical abilities, and we were able to take that truck and win on the first national TV show we were at in Monster Trucks.
All right, so you move into Goldberg, you win, the first inaugural World Finals racing, then you sweep the next year in Goldberg. So let's talk about the formation of that truck. I was a huge fan of World Championship Wrestling. I ended up actually working for them, Tom, as a production assistant. They would come to Orlando and do a lot of tapings at Universal, and I always worked there. I was the guy that would appear on WCW TV. I'd follow the wrestlers down to the ring. I'd take their robes, their glasses. I'd take them back to, gorilla position. So I was a big part of that. So I was there, when Goldberg first made his dark match debut, and then when that truck came in and you started to be a part of it, that's where I became familiar with you. So, can you talk about the formation of Goldberg and what your relationship was with WCW?
Well, it was awesome. With Monster Jam's involvement in WCW, everybody aligned and they wanted a great driver to represent Goldberg. They were getting into our sport. They were helping sponsor teams, and it was an exciting time. But most importantly, the goal was, we need a Goldberg truck because he was super popular. But the number one thing about it is it had to win, and it had to win a lot, just like his career. He was winning everything. He was undefeated for a long, long time, and so the truck had to parallel his success in the wrestling ring. So, we had the opportunity to build our own first time ever one-off truck. My father and my crew helped immensely. We welded up our own chassis. We kind of took what we had learned in the past and we expanded on that. And we tried to take the good stuff and make it even better. We knew our weaknesses and we tried to make them stronger. And that's really what it was. And so many things were wrapped into that. And the number one thing we were up against was time. We were out of time. We were essentially out of money for the project. We tested the truck about a week before with just a gray primered body. So many things were not coming together correctly. It's hard to get work done, especially when you're doing a totally new project like that. We tested the truck. It did okay. We got it painted up, cleaned up, and we took it down to Atlanta, and there was enough pressure already. It being a big TV show, Bill Goldberg was going to be there, and then to be in Atlanta, which is the hotbed of WCW wrestling at the time. All that came together, and fortunately, we were able to make a big splash the first weekend out, and it was an amazing time. Very fortunate, very lucky. A lot of 16-hour days to pull that off, and we did it. What an amazing time.
One of the things I remember about WCW incorporating monster trucks, besides just Goldberg and Nitro Machine and things like that, was actually on an episode of WCW Nitro. There was a monster truck battle between Hulk Hogan and the Giant. Were you involved in that at all? Because I have a very hard time believing that they were actually driving those trucks.
I wasn't involved in that at all, but I know I went to several events. I drove the truck into a lot of different buildings, and I, smashed some competitor cars and whatever else. We were a part of several of the matches, some of them in this area and other areas. It was a cool time. The celebrities that came out to those events then were just, second to none. And, being able to rub shoulders with some of the coolest celebrities in the business and being a part of all that. And so many of the wrestlers, like they loved Monster Jam trucks and they love asking questions. And, I just one in mind that just you might not even think of as Tank Abbott. He had a cool fondness for, Monster trucks, Monster Jam trucks, and everything about Monster Jam. And of course, Bill Goldberg is a gearhead, was then, is still today. And to have him be a part of that and come to our events and come to the World Finals, great times, exciting time for our sport.
And Bill Goldberg is still very much involved in wrestling, still does these matches a couple times a year, still in great shape. Does this surprise you that his career sort of parallels yours and that you're both still out there getting this done, so many years later?
It does when you stop and think back. Who would ever thought, that, the two would, align and go on and win so much. And what a great guy he is, and he's came to our events. He came to World Finals. He brought his son. He wanted to come. He went to our San Diego event, long after his involvement directly with the truck, and I love talking to him. And I get a chance, I reach out to him, we chat. He's just a genuine great guy like he appears to be and like so many people know that he is.
I mean, listen, we're going to move on from this conversation, but for me, there was not a greater time to be alive than World Championship Wrestling. That for me was it. I was so involved there in Atlanta and Orlando, and I do miss those days dearly. But unfortunately, WCW, had to close its doors in 2001. You needed a truck, couldn't run Goldberg, so then Team Meents comes into play. You won in Goldberg, you win in Team Meents. So let's talk about that concept. You obviously need a new truck after WCW is gone. So how did Team Meents come about?
Well, we wanted to make the switch. Maximum Destruction was always the goal. That wanted to be the name. That was the goal. That was my driving style. But we knew we needed to make a small switch over, a transformation, if you will, to keep me aligned with that awesome-looking SUV body, to be able to make the stair-step switch over to Max D. That was the year Team Meents. It was a slow transformation. It was a lot about me. It was keeping me involved with all the fans and making sure they were able to follow over to Maximum Destruction. That's exactly how it happened. And you went to the World Finals. And to me, having a change like that, it had to be just as competitive as it was in the past. I didn't want any letdown. Nobody on my team wanted to let down. So that's where it came from. That's how the transformation happened. And when we got to the World Finals, we had to prove to everyone we still belonged.
So you do end up getting to Maximum Destruction after that. Could you imagine, 20 years later in your wildest dreams that, this truck would be such a huge part of Monster Jam history and would still be, literally a focal point of every single event?
No, we didn't think so. And the one thing we're even proud of on top of what you're saying is we love when we come to an event. People know that in some form or some fashion, there's a lot of fantastic drivers at Monster Jam. But they know that when I come in the building, it puts extra pressure on all of them. They're like, oh, he's here. The old guy's here. That's what they're saying. That I know in their hearts, it's not really a win if I'm not in the building. That's the way I feel, and that's the way I want the competitors to feel.
Well, you've had some solid teammates throughout the years. More recently, Colt Eichelberger, Blake Ranger, and now you have Colt Stevens, who is, starting to find his footing again and tearing up the overseas tracks in Monster Jam. What are your thoughts on some of the other drivers that have been able to join you? Neil Elliott, of course, a huge name in Monster Jam. What are your thoughts on some of those other drivers that have driven that Max D truck?
They all have done a great job representing the brand, and they know there's extra pressure, and they know everybody's gunning for them. They want to take them down, every one of them knows that, and they got to wear that proudly. And recently having Colt on the team, Colt is an old school guy. We know that. I've seen him drive at Monster Jam University a lot. I know he's super tough. I know he's got a lot of talent. He's just kind of getting back into it. Looked fantastic so far. And he'll just continue to expand on his ability. To see him be able to go to recently over in Australia and to win racing in one of the muddiest events ever, that just shows his true grit, his talent, and even though he's been out of the seat for quite a while, his ability to get it done.
You were involved in one of the most spectacular crashes in Monster Jam history. Arlington 2011, you ripped the front housing, the suspension out of Max D. It's still talked about as one of the most viewed Monster Jam YouTube videos of all time. What are your recollections of that crash in Texas?
Well, even prior to that, it was just, that was a huge event. I was a Dallas Cowboy fan for years, and I had, never had that opportunity to go down there like that. And they had an event the year before, and this was the second year, and, it was just exciting for me. It was exciting to be able to get to perform down there. And the only thing I could think of is I just really wanted to leave a positive taste in everyone's mouth, an idea that they could think about how wild Max D was and the job it could do. And I never thought it would get to that level, and I never thought that the truck would 100% live up to its name that night. And, when I go there still now, when I make it down there, and they still talk about that event. They were there, how young they were, and every part of it. So, I mean, that run is one you can watch forever, and, 100% it's maximum destruction.
Well, let's talk about the 30th anniversary stunt from the last year's World Finals. How much preparation went into performing that stunt?
A lot of preparation, I mean, we're not even sure how we're going to get the truck to back up that fast, and we had to do a lot of work there and design that. And then we had to train the driver, me, to back up that fast in a straight fashion. There's a lot of work to do there, and then having to go 1-2 shift in reverse is something I don't know if anybody else has ever had to do it, but wide open throttle and shift into second gear the whole time you're trying to focus laser straight ahead and go backwards. I mean, there was a fun really was the number one word about it. And then, being able to do a forward momentum backflip in that short of a run up, because the further you had to go, it's that much longer you got to try to keep straight. That was an initial challenge. So seeing if we could get that done in a short run up, that was an exciting time. A lot of challenges. Finally, we were able to pull that off, and then we had to figure out how to do it going backwards. Good stuff. And then everything we put in over a year of thought, preparation from everyone at Monster Jam, everyone on the stunt team, and then be able to get that pulled off and then go down there and think, hey, everything's going pretty good. We got a real good success rate. And then the rain just comes on immensely hard, as you know. And it was like, man, this track is going to be horrible. And then, having the race, worried about the race being jeopardized, they decided to open up with the stunt. So now imagine me, I'm ready for racing, trying to figure out how I'm going to get around a muddy racetrack like all the other competitors, and I have to completely change all my thought process to do an incredible, never be done before done stunt in the mud. It was an interesting time, challenging, but that's what makes Monster Jam super fun, is the challenges that get thrown your way and the challenges on the track. And it turned out, honestly, for the conditions, perfect.
Well, and I think hats off to you for that, because all the focus was on the weather, and you came out and really kind of gave the fans something to, take their minds away from that and really reinforce the fact that they're at a Monster Jam event and this is what they're about to see. So, for us up in the booth, man, we were kids in a candy store when you came out and did that stunt. It was amazing. I do want to talk about that weekend though, Tom. You were very busy. You added 2 more World Finals championships to your resume. You sit at 14, and I do want to say that is more than the entire Anderson family has. So that has to make you feel good, knowing that you not only have, bested your longtime rival, but you also have more championships than his entire family does.
It's always fun, they're tough competitors on the track, and, friends off the track, and, got a great opportunity to know them all, and they definitely are tough when it gets out there, and it's fun to compete with them, and it's fun to still play at their level and be able to best them.
Let's talk about Monster Jam University, something that you've been a part of since its inception. It's literally right, in your yard at your house in Paxton, Illinois. And you called me this morning and you said you had a busy day at MJU. So I want to know, it kind of got my wheels turned a little bit. What does a day look like for you at Monster Jam University?
We figure out which drivers we have there. We come up with the challenges, and everybody's goal there, all the technicians that work there, the tech staff, everyone there has one goal in mind. Whoever comes on the property, we want to make them better. That's really it, pushing them to a new level, pushing them to a better level. We're back in full force this entire year. The summer's been fantastic. We've got some great new people prepared to come to Monster Jam. Can't wait to see who gets the opportunity to come out of this group. All of them are deserving. They've worked extremely hard. They've been pushed out of their comfort zone. I'll say that with a laugh, because it takes some time, There's going to be a world champion come out of this bunch someday. I can promise you that. It's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. We're about to wrap it up for this year. But, there's a lot of challenges to it. we got to get them to learn and progress in so many different ways. Obviously observation of others, through film, through my critiquing, which is almost number one at times, trying to get them better, getting them more comfortable with being uncomfortable, and having a lot of different drivers there from so many different types of motorsports events. I can tell you that all of them have pretty much said the same thing, that driving a Monster Jam truck is definitely the most fun they've ever had, but it's definitely the most challenging. There's just so many parts to it. Front steer, rear steer, jumping, turning. It's pretty interesting to hear their comments.
You've had so many different, Monster Jam superstars pass through MJU, powered by UNOH. Is there anyone that sticks out to you as somebody that you watched drive and literally knew right away they were going to be a superstar and they got it?
I can't say right away, no. That's a good question. I mean, there have been some that showed quite a bit of talent and that got even more talented when they got on track. And there's others that you didn't think were going to be that great, and they've turned out fantastic. I mean, a couple that come to my mind right away, Tyler Miniga, he looked pretty special right from the beginning, and he didn't get his opportunity right away. But through some, adverse situations with others, he got out there, he got out on track, and he made the most of his opportunity, that's for sure. Camden Murphy is a superstar. We know that. We see him week and week winning events and doing great stuff. I didn't think that he would be as good as he is now. It's hard to tell. I don't judge my opinion when I first see him, but he's one that didn't really give me a super great impression the first time, but he progressed the whole time he was here, and he just kept progressing when he got out on track. I mean, there's a couple right there that are real popular and everybody knows, and that's kind of interesting.
Well, listen, I spend most of the year in my job criticizing, how drivers drive and calling the action. I can tell everybody on television how to drive a truck. I've made no secret that I have never driven a Monster Jam truck before. We're trying to make that happen. So, Tom, let me put this scenario in front of you. If I get on a plane and come to Paxton, Illinois for a day to come to Monster Jam University, what could you do with me in a Monster Jam truck to try and teach me how to drive, how to talk about driving better?
I think the one thing I could do with you real easy is scare you out of the seat like you'd never want to do it again. But I mean, it is. I mean, it's a huge adrenaline rush. When drivers get to be really good, they got to be comfortable, and they just got to be able to, be so out of shape. And how do you make amazing saves? Well, in some ways you got to roll over a lot, but you get to where you have a calm heart rate and you're able to, take the input of what the truck's telling you, quickly apply it to, your appendages to make the perfect save, and that takes a lot of practice. But most importantly, you got to be able to stay calm under fire.
Well, I look forward to the challenge, and hopefully, we can make that happen. I don't anticipate being scared out of the booth, but you never know with you, man. You and I we have a great relationship. Always love our conversations. Let's talk about next season. You're competing on Stadium Championship Series Red with Adam Anderson, Caleb Blood, Camden Murphy, Mike Christensen, David Olford, and Matt and Nick Pagliarulo. More names will be announced in November. What are your thoughts on that lineup next season?
That's a very great lineup. Tough, top to bottom. I mean, look at each one of them. You talk about some great independent drivers along with Adam Anderson. I really still feel this way today. There's not a better racer right now in the game than Adam. He will get you oftentimes, He's super tough, super fast racer. Caleb Blood, what an amazing lady competitor, and is not afraid of anything, and has won several events, recently even. Had the great opportunity to work with her oftentimes at Monster Jam University, and even, recently. And I love her ability, and I love her mental and physical toughness. Very good. David Olfert, man, that guy has been around this business for a long time, way before he ever got the opportunity to drive. He does a fantastic job at it. And, seeing him win events recently, and he's going to be gunning for everybody. He wants to make a name for himself. Those are the kind of people you have to think about and think of, And then Christensen, heaven's sakes, that family has a lineage for years. And, Craig drove Max D. Craig's been around this business, his father, for years. He's tough. He's involved with his own team. He's going to want to make a name for himself. I mean, no shortage of amazing competitors, that's for sure. And if the list gets any bigger, who knows? I don't even know what to say. That's already a super good list of competitive drivers.
Well, and next season, you will drive a special 20th anniversary paint scheme on Max D. So for me, when I first saw it, it kind of engulfed everything that Maximum Destruction stands for, but I also saw some shades of Max D Fire in there. So I loved it. What are your thoughts on the paint scheme that you're going to have for next year?
I love it. I haven't got to witness it live, but, I got to see the renderings like you. They're working on them. They're trying to perfect the look. But, a couple of my favorites ever were the matte black Max D. I love that look. I thought that was super cool. And I liked the Max D Fire, and a lot of our fans like those two as well. And then more traditional with the older look without so many different things hanging off of it. When you put all three of those together, I think they hit it perfectly. Honestly, your creative team hit it perfectly. And, I'm pumped for it. I'm amped. I have had a lot of different looks of Max D, and I've enjoyed every one of them. But I think this one here is probably had the fans more excited than any one we've ever had beforehand. I can't wait to get out there. I can't wait to show it to everybody. I can't wait to get out there and compete.
You've done so much in your career. You're still at the top of your game, not only as a competitor, but teaching, new drivers how to, be a part of this sport. What do you feel is left for you to accomplish in Monster Jam?
That's it, really. I mean, for me right now, my goal is to pass my abilities on to others. I want to keep other drivers looking fresh and getting better. And I want to take new talent, recognize their weaknesses, and push them to a better level. And as far as competing, I just want to go out here and show everybody I still belong. I can still get it done. That's the best part about it. When I can no longer be the competitor that I've always been, then it won't be any more fun for me. It'll be time to move on, to just push others. But, right now, I've proven to the world this past year I still have more than enough ability to get the job done.
Well, I hate that I have to ask this, but I do have to ask some, certain questions. But is there, I know you said if you felt like you couldn't do it anymore, you wouldn't. But is there a time frame somewhere in your mind where you think you might, call it a day on the track?
At this point, there's not. But we know we physically can't do this when we're 80 years old, Scott. Let's just say it. But I mean, when you can still get the job done, when you're not an also-ran, when you're not anything but the best, and that's what Monster Jam is. It's a collection of the best monster trucks out there, the best drivers who have the ability, go through the proper training, and can get the job done. This is the elite level, and it needs to be the elite competitors.
Well, I know I'm not alone in saying this. I'm sure millions of fans agree, but I cannot imagine Monster Jam without you, competing on the track. But I know the legacy that you have left with all of these other drivers you've trained and with Max D will last, far beyond when we're gone away from this earth. So you have to be pretty proud of that legacy.
That is cool. It's super proud, moment for me. And that's all I ever wanted to do when I got involved. I wanted to just prove that I deserved to be here, and I could prove to the world that I deserved to be here and, compete at this level. It's not easy. It's never been easy. It's physically demanding, a lot of mental toughness as well, and everybody wants to win. Make no mistake there. And they're gunning for you, and they're coming for you all the time. And I know when this calendar switches to 2023, like you do, that there's going to be no favoritism on the track, and everybody wants to be the winner.
But you just keep winning. It's almost not even fair. And I've used this analogy so many times, and I don't know how you feel about it, but you are literally the Tom Brady of Monster Jam. He continues to win at a high level in the NFL when he shouldn't be doing it anymore, and you continue to win at a high level in Monster Jam. And there's no telling, what 2023 holds. But no shock for anybody if you win another series championship and add 2 more world championships to your resume. I think you're the Energizer Bunny, Tom. I don't see you stopping anytime soon. It's almost not fair, but I'm happy that you're still a part of this, because I remember, again, back when I was with WCW, and you came into Goldberg, and the fact that I'm able to share, a show with you and have moments with you. For me, it's sometimes I have to step back and not be a kid as a fan and actually do my job and be, constructive. But it's finding that balance, man. And I appreciate and respect everything you have done for this business.
Well, thank you so much. But, it's really the fans, and at this point in my career, the grandpas come that brought their son, and that is super cool. And then the dad brings, with grandpa, brings the grandson because they want to have an opportunity to see you, and meet you at the pit party. And that is very special, and it's even more special now than ever, and driving and being able to still compete at this level, it is demanding. It is tough. And everybody is so good. And the one thing due to Monster Jam University is we've made everybody more competitive and better. And that's the part I love, And when you win now, you don't just knock over a couple people. I mean, you got to knock over everybody, and they're all good. And it's fun to still be a part of it. It's fun that, once I do hang up that helmet and no longer drive, I'm going to have drivers I helped, get their career going. They're going to be winning world championships for a long time yet. And that's a neat feeling for me.
All right, let's get to some fan questions. Don't forget, fans listening and watching, you can submit your questions to me every single week on Instagram at ScottJordanMJSX. You can go to the Monster Jam Instagram account and submit to the story as well. So let's go right to Instagram. Monster Talk Official is asking what you feel the future for you and the Max D team is into 2023 and beyond.
Well, we're going to keep doing everything we can to win championships, win world finals, and making our Max D chassis tougher than ever. I mean, that's always our goal. We've never lost sight of that. If we can't compete, especially me at a high level, then they will no longer be fun for us, So we're going to keep bringing it every day we can. We need to seek out and see who's next. We're going to need a new guy. We're going to need somebody that's going to get the job done in the future for a long time to come. That's someone we're going to have to find at Monster Jam University, and we're going to keep looking for that special superstar to take over the seat at some point. Absolutely. I mean, that's going to have to happen. And, luckily I get to see all the new talent, and I'll be able to find that perfect one for me.
All right, Eli Steele 35 has a great question here. For being in all 4 competitions at World Finals, does having all 4 competitions in one day next year add any stress or pressure on being consistent while always trying to keep the truck in one piece? That's a great point, because we had it over 2 days last year. Now it's literally every competition in one day, and if you're in all 4, that's a lot of pressure.
Luckily for a few of us, we were able to do 3 in one day because of the rain format, and it pushed 3 competitions into one day. So we have some experience there. It is not easy, being that competitive. And, when you don't get a positive result, you got to quickly just focus on the next one. Forget that one. Monster Jam is so much about your own motivation, and you got to find it, and you got to have a positive outlook when you're out there driving, and that's exactly what's going to have to happen at that event. If you don't get a great job at your first competition, you just got to move right on to the next one and bring the positive energy with you. And that was what I was able to do last year, and I had an amazing Sunday, and, it worked out well for me.
Well, if you were asked next year to compete in all four competitions, is that, a resounding yes for you, or will you take into consideration that 4 in one day will be a lot for, not just you, but for your crew and your truck as well?
If I have the opportunity to compete, if I do well enough throughout the 2023 year, absolutely, I'm taking all four. I would take 10 in one day. That's just the way I feel, I just love to win, and I love to compete even more so. And, and I know the fans want to see me out there. A lot of them want to see me win, and some of them want to see me get beat, both. And I relish that, and I can't wait for that moment, and hopefully it happens.
All right, MJ Highlight Reel 2K18. 18 says, are there any plans to re-add the spark effect to your truck like you did for the 10th anniversary?
Oh, we'd love to. A lot of people love that look, and they love it. And when we did encores and all the cool stuff with that, there's a lot of extra preparation with that. There's a lot of extra expense, when you stop and look at it. You'd be surprised at the pyrotechnics officials and everybody and permits you have to have. Some cities, it's not even possible. It's very challenging, but man, when you got to do it, people, they remember it forever.
Joe97.11 wants to know what your favorite body of Max D and what your favorite World Finals has been.
Favorite World Finals, honestly, I think it was probably this past year, that's kind of cliche in a way. I love World Finals 1, but at that point, it was definitely something special. We weren't sure it was going to happen again, and to see it so many years later still happening is awesome. This year, with all the new events that are in it, wrapped with so many in one day, all the challenges with doing a stunt and performing in 4 events in the same weekend were tough, along with an extensive practice and qualifying session. It was the best. It really was. And, this year it's going to be even better. All in one day, a new venue, close to the Midwest here where I live. I think it's going to be super special, unique and new, and it may even be better than this past year.
All right, I've got 2 more questions and I'll let you go. The Cameron 9785 is asking, how do you feel about Scott Hartsock passing away as the greatest driver to win a world championship?
Oh, yeah, awesome dude, great friend, awesome competitor, terrible loss, good friends with his family, all of them. A lot of respect for that guy. Even more so off the track. I respect him on the track well, but man, he really had his family life together and his family together, and all of them are sweet and special to me. One of the memories that comes to my mind, I just happened to run into him going down the road. I was going to a random place. I wasn't even going to an event, and I ran into him. He was in front of me, and I came up behind him, surprised him. He's going down the road in that gunslinger trailer, and I talked to him on the phone probably an hour and a half that day, and that's time, thinking back now, that was just meant to be, it was just meant to have that random meeting on an interstate and to be able to have the time for both of us to be able to chat, and just what a great guy he was, in a lot of ways. They say the good die young, and that happened with him, man. He was awesome. What a good guy.
It's a tragedy. I know his family was in Orlando at World Finals, so I know they were a part of the festivities there. But again, it's a terrible loss. But Scott left a legacy that will far extend beyond anything we could ever imagine, and he will be remembered for as long as Monster Jam is around. So I think that says a lot about who he was as a driver, but as you said, more importantly, as a person. And you have to have a lot of respect for both sides of that as a family man and an athlete. It's tough to balance that.
Yeah, and he was everything to his daughter and his son and his wife, and a lot of ways our careers kind of paralleled. He got in it just a short time before I did. He had a lot of family involvement of getting that thing out on the track, and I got to see his progression and know him early on. And what a great loss, and what an awesome service, and a great list of people that were there to, celebrate his life. Was, man, what a great day that was. Huge loss for everyone, and I'll miss him forever for sure.
All right, last question here, and this is sort of speaking in hypotheticals. It comes from Madness MT on Instagram. And he's asking, would you ever go back if you had the opportunity and run any of the older trucks before Max D, like Monster Patrol or Goldberg? If there was ever an opportunity, a retrospective to say, hey, Tom, you want to run Goldberg one last time, would that be something you'd be interested in?
I would be. It's awesome. The times are so great now, but, whenever you're able to look back and go back, and similar to what you're talking about, when, was that the greatest time for you when you were, experiencing some wrestling early on? It could have been, but, even more importantly, it was probably the hype, the new experience for you. And, now when I go to World Finals, I think a lot of ways the reason I'm able to compete so well is because I've been to so many, and I know what's expected of me, from the fans and the competitors. And I think that's more of it, the surprisability it would be to, it would bring back those memories, how great of a time that was because of the newness in seeing how special things were going to be in the future. So, yeah, it would be cool to do, that's for sure.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing where the road takes you and Max D in your 20th anniversary season. The celebration is just getting started, fans. Please, stay involved here on Instagram at ScottJordanMJSX. Please make sure you watch us at MonsterJam.com, and on YouTube. You can download us, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Tom Meents, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I know you got a busy day today at MJU, powered by UNOH, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great to be here. Great to catch up with you and share everything. Most importantly, we're traveling the whole country this year. We're going to be able to have an opportunity to see each and every one of you. Come out and see the new Max D. Get ready for an exciting season. Who's going to win, we don't know, but we're definitely gunning for number one.
We'll get your tickets right now for Tom's 20th anniversary behind the wheel of Max D. As for me, that's all the time we have. I will see you right here next time when I take you inside Monster Jam.